That's 10. Oh, 11.
We can see Connor's adorable face now. Yay. So cute.
Yay. That's so exciting.
That's actually a hilarious April Fool's joke.
No, it's not.
Okay. Go ahead and everybody mute yourselves
I
so
think
you're
I
not
am.
talking over each other. Okay, and I'm going to try to share my screen so we can check our homework. We're going to check page 427. So open up your books to page 427. Okay, Connor, you still need to mute.
Okay, give me a second. Sorry.
What's the matter, pup?
Yeah.
Okay, you're opening up your books to page 427.
Hello. What did I miss?
Okay. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it.
Hey, what? Oh, okay.
All right, so page 427. You started with number 2. Okay, the answer is 7. Number 3, 6 1/3. Okay, number 4. I'm just going to let you guys check your work. And you can ask me questions if you have any questions. You did not have to do number 14, so only up to 13. Okay, you can unmute yourself if you have a question for me for one of those. All right, so your homework was on adding mixed numbers.
I have a question. 11, 5, 6, 11, 10, 12.
Right.
Yeah.
Who had a question?
Me, Taryn.
I think
Taryn. Okay. All right, Connor, hang on a second. Taryn, what's your question?
So for number 2, I had 6 1/2. For number 3, I had 5 2/3. And then for number 4, I had 13 4/5. And then the rest of them I got right.
Okay, so I see what you're doing. For 2, 3, and 4, you did not add the fraction part together. So for number 3, the 6 is good, but then you have to add 1/2 and 1/2, which is 2 halves or 1, and then put that with the 6. So 6 plus 1 is 7. And then for number 3, 2 plus 2 is 4/3. So that's 1 1/3. All right. So the 1 goes 3 plus 2 is 5, plus another 1 is 6. So 6 1/3.
Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Connor, did you have a question?
Well, for number 8, I got 15 2/10 or 15 4/5.
You gotta.
Okay, 15 4/5 is correct. They did not put it in lowest terms. So your answer is actually better. So 15.
In lowest terms.
Yeah.
Palmer,
Yes, Aaron?
is it just me or does it actually say 50 on the chat thing?
I'm looking at my other screen. I can't see the chat right now.
Okay, because the chat says there's 50 people doing 50 different messages. No, not 50 people, but there's 50 different messages.
Okay, well, we're not doing messages during class, so maybe they were doing messages before we started. Okay, any questions about your homework though, Erin, or did you have all of those correct?
No.
No questions?
Yeah, there's no questions, but I did not have all of them.
I have a question.
I find subject generally easy.
All right, who has a question?
I do. Me.
Well, who's me?
Brooklyn.
Oh, okay, Brooklyn, go ahead.
For number 2, for 4's 1/2 and 2 1/2, I put 6 2/2.
Yep.
And put
2/2 is correct, but 2/2 equals 1. So
yeah,
then
that's
you have,
why I put the 7 there. So still right or not?
well, you want your answer to be 7. You want to put it in lowest terms, so your final answer is 7. Right? Any other questions? Okay. We're going to go ahead and work on the next page.
No.
Okay. So we didn't do the next page. We're going to look at that.
I am hearing echoes.
Okay, you should mute
Same
your
here.
microphone.
I'm hearing echoes.
Okay, mute your microphone.
Probably because you have 2 tabs open.
I don't have 2
Everybody-
tabs open.
Gavin, mute your microphone.
Echoing.
Gavin, mute your microphone.
Okay. I'm still hearing echoes.
You're not muting.
Same here.
Okay. Page 428, number 1. Brad has 2 lengths of copper pipe to fit together. One has a length of 2 5/12 feet, and the other has a length of 3 7/12 feet. How many feet of pipe does he have? All right. Let's see if Yash can do that one for us. All right, so Yash, you can unmute.
Okay.
All right, what would you do for number 1?
So we add 3 and 2 to get 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then we add 7 and 5 to get 12. And then 5 plus 1 equals 12 or 6.
Good. So your answer would be 6, and give it a label.
6 feet.
Yeah, good. All right. Yash did a good job. He added his whole numbers. He added his fractions. The fraction parts end up being 12/12. So that just equals 1, and we put that together with the 5. 5 plus 1 is 6, so 6 feet.
Okay.
All right. Number 2, Gavin. Let Mrs. Plummer just find the page that it is. Number 2. Okay. Gavin, a pattern calls for 2 1/4 yards of material and 1 1/4 yards of lining. How much total fabric is needed? What would you do? All right. So everybody mute the Gavin. Gavin, you can unmute. And they want to know the total amount of fabric. So what are you going to do?
3 2/4 fabric.
Good. And let's reduce 2/4 to lowest term. So 2/4, you could divide those both by 2.
2 divided by 2 is 1.
Mm-hmm.
2 divided by 4 is 2, so 1/2.
Good. So 3 1/2. And your unit is going to be yards. All right, because that's how the fabric is measured in yards. Good job, Gavin. All right. So he has 3 1/2 yards for number 2. Good work. All right, I'm going to scroll down and see if our book agrees. Yes. And you even reduced it and they didn't.
Oh, that's amazing.
Number 3, sod. Janice has 23 baseball trading cards of star players. She agrees to sell them for $16 each. How much money will she make? What should we do, Saad?
We have to multiply 23 times 16.
All right, what will we get? Yeah, I'll give you all a moment to work that out. So everyone should be working it out, not just Saad.
$368.
Yep, that's what I got too. Good. Right, $368. Saad said that's a multiplication problem. All right, so he had to remember. Remember, these questions now are going to be review. So he had to remember how to multiply a 2 by 2. 6 times 3 is 18. Carry your 1. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. And you need a 0 placeholder. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. Add it all up. All right. Good job, Saad. Okay, Connor, number 4. Nancy is volunteering at the animal shelter. She wants to spend an equal amount of time playing with each dog. She has 145 minutes to play with all 7 dogs. About, so remember that about should hint to you something. About how much time can she spend with each dog? What is that about hinting at, Connor?
I was thinking the exact amount, so here we go. So round 145 to, you use the 5 to make the 4 5, and you use that 5 to make it 200. So we have 200 minutes to play with 7 dogs.
Connor, I want to get a little bit closer to 145 than 200. I want to look at those first 2 numbers and find a number that 7 goes into nicely. And it does go into 14 nicely.
Under 50?
Well, it won't go into 15, but it will go into 14.
50. 50.
We're going to make that 145, 140, so it'll divide evenly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And my answer says 20 minutes. I need one more thing. I have to say about 20 minutes because that was an estimate. They didn't ask for exact. Okay?
I had 20 minutes before, though.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's check these out. See what the book said. Yeah, good job, guys. Okay, 2 more. Number 5, Brooklyn. Frida has 12 red apples and 15 green apples. She is going to share the apples equally among 8 people and keep any extras for herself. How many apples will Frida keep for herself? So what kind of a problem is that? What do we have to do?
Don't you add them together?
Yeah. All right. I'm going to add my apples together and I get 27.
Okay,
So I have 27 apples.
Divided by 8.
Yep. We're going to do 27 divided by 8. And my answer is going to be 3 remainder 3.
Yep.
Now I have to answer that question. How many apples will Frida keep for herself? She's keeping any extras for herself, Brooklyn.
Keeping 3 apples.
Good. That's your remainder as your answer. So the answer is 3 apples. Good job. Okay. All right. We have one more. Let's go.
Wait, can I do it?
Wait, Brooklyn said 11 apples, right?
Can I do it?
Brooklyn said 3 apples, and I'm just going down my list. So
3? Huh?
Is it me?
hang on. Now it's not pulling up my people. I need someone I haven't heard from yet. Taryn? Oh, there's a couple people I didn't hear from, but I'm going to go with Taryn for this one. Okay, Taryn, the Lynch family bought a house for $75,300. A few years later, they sold it for $80,250. How much greater was the selling price than the purchase price? So what do we have to do, Taryn? Are you unmuted, Taryn?
No,
Sorry.
she's muted.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you gotta do 80,250 minus 75,300. So
Excellent. Good.
250 minus
All right, so let's all do that subtraction problem. All right, a little bit of practice of subtraction, some borrowing. I'll give you guys a minute to get that in.
I got it already.
All right, I got it.
What do you have, Taryn?
I got 9,950.
How about 4,950?
Oh yeah, sorry. That's what I meant.
That's it. Good job. 4,950 with the subtraction. Okay. Good work. Okay, we're going to start talking about something else today. And we're going to work on page 431. It's going to be subtraction with renaming. So when we subtract fractions and we rename them. So for number 6 that Taryn just did, it was a subtraction problem. And we have to borrow. Well, sometimes when we work with fractions and we're subtracting, we have to borrow also, right? I'm going to show you a few examples. So on page 431.
Wait, what page is this?
Page 431, I want you to look at number 2. Right? So, all right, and whoever's making all the racket, remember you're supposed to have your microphones muted. Okay, so you guys see 1 1/3 minus 2/3.
Wait, no, that's not our page.
Page 431, number 2.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, never mind.
Okay, there's a
Did
couple
we do
different
number
ways.
1?
This is number 2.
Did we do number?
No, we're starting with number 2. Okay. All right. So when I look at my fraction part, 1/3 minus 2/3, I can't do that, right? Because I can't take 2/3 away from 1/3. It's too big. So I'm going to have to borrow and rename my fraction. So I'm going to borrow from the 1 and make it a 0. So go ahead and write that in. Cross out your 1 and put in a 0. Okay, here's the confusing part, because you guys are used to when you borrow and then you put a 1 here. All right, we're borrowing 1, but we're talking about the fraction that has a 3 on the bottom. So how much am I borrowing in terms of thirds? Am I borrowing 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3? Like how many thirds equals 1 whole? Sod. What equals 1 whole if I'm talking about thirds?
3/3.
3/3. Good. 3/3 is the same thing as 1 whole, and that's what we're borrowing. We're borrowing 1. So we're borrowing 3/3. We already have 1/3. So we're going to make this 4/3 now. All right, cross out that 1 and make it a 4. There's always going to be an easy way to do this. When we're renaming fractions, you just have to add the numerator and the denominator. So when you borrow...
Wait, Miss Palmer, I'm not catching up to you.
Hang on a second, Connor. When you borrow, you just add your numerator and your denominator. Right, because we borrowed 3/3. We already have 1/3, so we have 4/3. All right, so now we're going to do 4/3 minus 2/3.
Is that
2/3.
is that just to make it easier, or is that like necessary?
It's necessary.
Okay. So like if you say show our work, we have to show that.
Yep.
That you went way too fast. I didn't.
Yeah.
Get,
I didn't get what you were saying. I
Boys and
didn't.
girls, can you see the whiteboard?
no, barely.
Pin Mrs. Palmer.
Okay, I'll pin you.
There we go. That's perfect.
Mrs. Palmer. Mrs. Palmer. Can I try this one?
Everybody can mute.
Mrs. Palmer. Can I do this next one?
Connor, David N, David S, Gavin, and Taryn, mute your microphones.
Wait, I wanted to try the next one.
Gavin, mute your microphone. Okay. All right, and you should have Mrs. Palmer pinned, and you should be able to see the whiteboard pretty good. Okay, so now Mrs. Palmer should not be going too fast for you because you're writing down what you see. Yash?
Yeah,
Mute your microphone.
it is.
If it were muted, then I would not be able to hear you. Okay, we are going to move on to number 3. 4 7/10 minus 1 9/10.
Can I do that one?
I want to hear from David C because I haven't heard from David C yet today. All right, here's the problem, David. All right, so David C can unmute his mic.
Yes.
Okay, so David, here's the problem, and we cannot take 9/10 away from 7/10, so we're going to have to borrow. Okay?
You have to
So I'm going to
borrow
cross out my 4. What do I make the 4?
2.
No,
I mean 3. I mean 1.
a 3.
Oh,
Borrow from the 4, it becomes a 3.
yeah.
Okay.
And then
Borrowing 1, which is 10/10, and I already have 7/10, so I put that together. You just have to add your numerator and your denominator. What's 10 plus 7?
17.
Yeah. So what you did was you changed 4 7/10 to 3 17/10. Okay, that's fine to do.
17 cents.
It's legal. So now you're going to subtract 17/10 minus 9/10.
17 tenths minus 17 tenths minus 9.
Mrs. Palmer, you have a typo.
Gavin,
8 tenths.
The 8 is supposed to be a 7.
Gavin, mute your microphone.
Eight tenths.
Good. All right. And 3 minus 1.
3 minus 1 equals 1. I mean 3 minus 1 equals 2.
Okay, good. So you have 2 and 8/10. I want you to give it to me in simplest form. So I want you to reduce 8/10. What can you divide those by?
4, 2 and 4/5.
That's it. Good.
I'm keeping up with you, but the thing is, though, I don't understand how to do this. So when I'm doing my homework tonight, I'm probably not going to understand how to do it.
Okay, so you guys can always go back and watch this, and I'll put a video for you, Connor, in your guys' Google Classroom. Okay, so I'll put a video that will help explain it since we don't have a ton of time to do more examples, and there will be some more examples for you.
What was the answer for number 3 again? 2 and 8 tenths.
2 4/5.
Oh, I didn't reduce. I only wrote it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do it. I do it that way, but without all the extra writing.
Mr. Wetzel? I mean, Mrs. Palmer?
Palmer, I do it the way you do it, the subtraction, but in a simpler way. I just don't have to write it all out. Is that okay?
You should always show all your work, David, in
Mrs. Palmer?
because it's math.
Mrs. Palmer?
Yep.
Can I see it at 2 o'clock if I don't understand this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to have you guys work on some problems. Let's let's finish the ones on this page. We won't do a ton of them since it's something new. So let me go back to see what problems I want you to do. Okay, we're going to stay on page 431. And I want you to do 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Okay.
Bring that upstairs.
Okay?
For homework?
Okay, just those 4 problems
No,
because
no,
it's something new.
Okay.
Miss Palmer, on number 6. So do we borrow from the 1 or the 2?
You borrow
Fly, give me a second.
from the 2 and make it a 1. So that would be 1 4/4. All right, but I don't want you doing your homework right now. It's even though you are at home.
So
That's kind of funny because usually when we're at school, we'll say homework is for home, not during class, and you actually are at home.
homework
But
is
having class.
Homework's 431, 432. Right?
No, it's just 431, numbers 4 to 7.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay.
That's good.
Those 4 problems, I want you to do a really good job on those 4. And I'll put a video in Google Classroom for you to help. Okay? You guys have a good rest of your day and come see me at 2 if you need help.
Okay, I will.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, see you guys. Follow me.
I'm not going anywhere, people.
Yeah, we're not leaving.
Bye.
Ready? I just can get Jericho to get on my bed, but she's not very happy with me today because I tried before and she wasn't happy.